I know that, people have to read through dozens of pages, if not hundreds of pages of contracts when they're acquiring real estate. And so I definitely want to hear more about the implications of that within your industry. If you're just tuning in, welcome, welcome, welcome to Fly Nubian Money on the Fly Nubian Queen Network. Now we're going to hear from the former educator who says that America has a literacy crisis.
Like pretty stagnant for the last like decade. But after the pandemic, they plummeted. And now they were like, oh, we got to do something about it. Columbia University, I'm looking at you. You fully backed balanced reading, fully backed it. Teachers College was 100% pushing out balanced reading. That's why the kids don't know how to sound things out. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, please go do some research. Now they're trying to push science of reading. That's the way. And if you're like, what's science of reading? That's what we was doing. And by we, I'm talking about millennials and older. The one, the little when we were sounding words out. That's, yeah. Now they're trying to bring that back. And if you're like, wait, they stopped doing that? Yes! For years, they stopped doing it. I'm going to say this last thing and I'm going to be done. If you have the opportunity and the privilege, right? Because like taking off from work is a privilege. You need to start, and by you, I'm talking to parents and guardians, start going to these PTSA meetings and these district meetings. They are passing so many policies and they're banking on the fact that parents and families are not going to show up. You need to know what those policies are and how they're affecting your children, particularly Black and brown children. They know families can't or won't show up. You need to be more involved with your students' schooling. Their life, quite literally, depends on it. All right, I'm done.
Wow, shout out to that, sister. Let me hear from you, Erica. What's your take on what the former principal just laid out? Like, literally, kids are not learning science. I mean, excuse me, they're not learning phonics. Remember, like, we had phonics back in the day. They used to say,
Yep.
"Oh, hooked on phonics works for me," and you know how to sound things out and decode. They're not doing that. They're trying to bring it back. So, what are your thoughts on this?
It's really sad. In 2017 to 2020, I took a sabbatical and I got out of here. And I worked as a cruise director. I needed to just regroup, refocus, and reshape. And I did that. And I worked on ships. And it brings me to a contract I did in Australia when I spent 7 days in Papua New Guinea. And here I was in a third world country where everyone had to plant their food, live off the land, wait for it to rain in order to have water. Wash their clothes only when it rains, drink water only when it rains. But you have school age children who were speaking 3, 4, and 5 different languages. And this is a third world country. It is very unfortunate that we have allowed our country and our children to fall into this pit hole. We can't pull them out of it because you know what? Now it's a cycle. Because if we go back to 2002 with No Child Left Behind, that's been implemented. So then you have a generation that was passed on. And then guess what? Since they don't know, they're going to not teach their children because they didn't know to show their children. So now you have a generation and generation of illiteracy that's being passed down. And unfortunately, as it's being passed down, it's getting worse because what little bit of information was once there is slowly being eliminated as the generations progress. I really think that parents really need to just focus. You have kids, you have to get in there and ask questions. Yes, you're going to have teachers in the classroom who don't care, but as a parent, you need to care. They're not teaching cursive in school anymore, which blew my mind. I had no idea about that. I think, honestly, it's up to parents to say, you know what? I can't rely on the school system. I need to get my kid in other programs outside of the city, maybe outside of the state, different programs where they'll go to in the summer, different programs where they'll go to on winter break. We need to start as parents, start thinking outside of the box where we can actually get our kids in shape for their future, because honestly, the government is not. They could care less.
Absolutely. And thank you for that analysis. If you're just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money on Fly Nubian Queen Network. We want you to go ahead and text the word Queens to 87948. The number is on your screen. Text the word Queens to 87948. You'll be notified when we do go live. And you're also get a free download from our sponsor at the Black Business School. All right, the blackbusinessschool.com. Shout out to the Black Business School. They have a whole AI generated stock options list. And so, this is something that we can use to support ourselves when we're talking about financial literacy, in addition to, the like real literacy, like, right, learning how to basically read and write within the context of this conversation. But definitely join our list. Text the word Queens to 3199. Text the word Queens to that number that was on the screen, and definitely like, share, and subscribe to Fly Nubian Queen Network. Again, that number is 87948. Now, we had our real estate guru, Lala, who is on with us, but unfortunately, she got kicked out. So we're working on bringing her back. She's having, some technical difficulties, like electricity in her neighborhood went out, but she is like listening. So we're trying to bring our sister back in. So I do want to weigh in on your take on this, Athena. What did you get from that video?
Well, what I basically got from the video is that our government are failing our children. And I personally feel like our government does not care about children in this country.